Hello, dear students. Welcome to the online lecture for the students of BA Part First English Literature. In this video, we are going to study the remaining stanzas of the poem A Song for Saint Cecilia's Day, 1687. This ode was composed by John Dryden. And as you all know, students, then in the previous videos we have discussed about who was John Dryden and what was her work, what was his works, what was the style of his works. Now we will have a quick look on the stanza first and stanza second. In stanza first, John Dryden have told about the creation of this universe, and in stanza second there is a biblical reference of Jubal and his corded shell. In stanza 3, we have studied about the effect of various types of musical instrument like trumpet and drum, and in stanza 4, we have studied the effect of the musical instrument called flute and lute. Now we are going to study stanza 5. Stanza 5 starts from these lines. Sharp violins proclaim their jealous pangs and desperation, fury, frantic indignation, depth of pains and height of passion for the fair disdainful dame. Sharp violins proclaim. Students, in this stanza, the poet is discussing about the effect of violin, about the emotions that are raised listening the sound of violin. Proclaim means declare, pangs means pain, frantic means excited, indignation means anger, and disdainful means scornful, hateful. Dame means lady love. So students, in this fifth stanza, the power of the musical instrument violin is described. It is to be noted that Dryden has carefully selected different rhythms in describing different instruments. Thus, he has conveyed their various kinds of impact. So, as we talk about the effect of violin declare the emotions of jealousy, pain, desperation, anger, and excitement. And in the last two lines, the poet here clearly conveys that this sound of violin also show the passion, the height of the passion, and also the depth of pain for the hateful lady love, for the fair and scornful lady love, their love that was not responded back. So this is the effect of violin. Now we come to stanza 6. Stanza 6 start from these lines. But oh, what art can teach, what human voice can reach, the sacred organ's praise, notes inspiring holy love, notes that wing their heavenly ways to mend the choirs above. In the sixth stanza, the divine qualities of the musical instrument, like the organ, have been contrasted with those of the human voice. So, here the poet himself asks a question: what human voice can reach the sacred organ's praise? The answer is in the question itself. It means that there is no human voice, there is no human made instrument can praise the voice of organ. So no man and no man made instrument can contrast with the sound of sacred organ that was invented by Saint Cecilia. So here the poet is asking, but oh, what art can teach, what human voice can reach the sacred organ's praise, notes inspiring holy love. Notes here means musical notes that inspire holy love, musical notes that force the heavenly bodies in the form of angels to come on earth and to mend the choirs above. So, here this is the effect of divine quality of the musical instrument like the organ that is discussed here. Now, in stanza 7, the starting lines of this stanza is Orpheus could lead the savage race, and trees unrooted left their place. Sequacious of the lyre, but bright Cecilia raised the wonder higher. When to her organ vocal breath was given, an angel heard and straight appeared, mistaking earth for heaven. Here in this stanza, the poet has given us a biblical reference of Orpheus. Orpheus was the greatest pagan musician and is also called the god of music, god of Greek music, whose music was so beautiful that the trees uprooted themselves and followed him. He went to the There is also a reference of him that he went to the underworld to bring his dead wife back. God commanded him not to look back at her, but he did so, and that's why his wife was not able to return to life. So, this is the biblical reference of Orpheus. And in this stanza, the poet is not only talking about Orpheus but also about Saint Cecilia and her organ. Dryden refers to organ and its divine association in order to come to the central figure of the poem, Saint Cecilia. But before that, he refers to the mythical and musical figure of ancient Greece, that is Orpheus, as I have told you now, who is attributed with so many miracles he had performed by his power of music with the lyre. But according to Dryden, Saint Cecilia had performed greater miracle by attracting an angel who mistook earth for heaven by listening to her music. So, in this stanza, the opening lines of this stanza is Orpheus could lead the savage race. Savage race here means uncivilized human being. Orpheus was the Greek god of music, and he was the one who led the uncivilized race, and with the power of his music, trees uprooted themselves and left the places. Sequacious of the lyre. In the following of the sound of lyre that was produced by Orpheus, all the human beings and all the uh, lifeless objects follow him, listening to his sound of lyre. But here the poet stresses the statement that although Orpheus' sound was so powerful that lifeless objects become alive, but the sound of Cecilia's organ was so powerful that it created the higher wonder. When to her organ vocal breath was given, an angel heard and straight appeared, mistaking earth for heaven. There is also a miracle that was performed by Saint Cecilia, that listening to her attractive music played on organ, there was an angel in the form of heavenly body that mistook earth for heaven of listening his sound. So, in this stanza, the poet is contrasting the effect of music created by lyre and also produced powerful music by Saint Cecilia on her organ. And the concluding lines of this ode is grand chorus. Grand chorus means a group song. So the group song lines starts as like this: as from the power of sacred lays the spheres began to move, and sung the great creator's praise to all the blessed above, so when the last and dreadful hour this crumbling pageant shall devour, the trumpet shall be heard on high, the dead shall live, the living die, and music shall untune the sky. In the grand chorus, he concludes by uttering a prophecy that as the universe was created from the power generated out the musical harmony, so the universe will cease to exist with the end of that harmony. So here is the reference of doomsday in grand chorus. These are also the concluding line of the poem, where poet imagines the end of universe. Students, you should notice that the opening lines of this ode conveys the creation of the universe, but the grand chorus conveys the end of universe. The poet imagines that a musical tune from heaven will end the universe. So as from the power of sacred lays means heavenly songs, holy prayers, the spheres began to move. Spheres means heavenly bodies. That as the heavenly bodies, the sphere organs will listen the power of holy prayers, they will become motion, they will be in motion, and sung the great creator's praise to all the blessed above. And all the spheres, all the heavenly bodies will sing the praise song for their creator. So when the last and dreadful hour, here in these last 5 lines, the poet does a prophecy that when the last and dreadful hour, when the doomsday will appear, this crumbling pageant means that farce, or that we can say tamasha or procession, shall devour, the trumpet shall be heard on high. That as on the last judgment day, this is all a biblical reference, that on the last judgment day the trumpet sound will be heard so high that listening that sound all the dead shall alive, and all the living being will die, and music shall untune the sky, and all the music will untune the sky. The sky here refers to the cosmos or the universe. The music, that heavenly music shall end the universe. So in these lines the poet imagines that as the universe was created from the power generated out the musical harmony, so the universe will cease to exist with the end of that same musical harmony. He say that at the last time, when everything will start to get an end, a voice of trumpet from the heaven will be heard, and everybody will die. Thus the music will end the universe. So these lines are also notable for their musical quality, and also this ode is very remarkable for the biblical references that the poet has used here in this ode. Now students, we shall study about the structure of this poem, doing the analysis of this poem. It is a lyric poem of elaborate metrical structure, that is solemn in tune means serious in tune, and grave in tune, and in the form of address. The theme is grave means serious and universal, and the presentation is dignified, very respectful manner. Dryden attempts to imitate the effect of music in language which reach their heights in this ode. It is Pindaric ode in its structure, and thus consists a number of short stanzas similar in length and arrangement. Dryden introduces the chorus to adopt the true strophic structure. As you know students, that in Pindaric ode there is the structure of strophe and antistrophe. In ancient drama, strophe was the song sung in the chorus while dancing towards one side of the orchestra. The cadence of one line is carried to the next, and the sound of the former glides gently into that which follows without leaping from one extreme to another. Now we will study, or we will discuss about what the style has been used by the poet. Dryden has maintained strict uniformity, means strict similar manner is used in this ode. His heroic couplet shows uniformity, precision and regularity. His diction is in tune with his ideas. he disciplines himself to use the precise word. Precise word means accurate words rather than the word with the vague area of association. Endeavoring means trying always to express as clearly and firmly as possible what he means to say. But words he held were only the coloring of the poem picture. What was important was the idea. Through the coloring was what first struck the eye. So there is the importance of idea uh, glimpses in this ode. So whatever words he uses, he is still uses language that might be spoken by man to man. It is never mere poetic language. That is the one of his great triumphs. So this is all about the explanation and analysis of this poem, students. In the next videos we will study another poem that is suggested in your syllabus. Thank you all.